All right, here we go. Salmon Jigging 2025. A lot of fish out in Lake Michigan this year. It's going to be a great season. I think most ports have already had fish at some point, and there's definitely a lot coming. So I haven't been out yet. I'm going to get out at my next opportunity when I'm not too busy bass fishing. But anyway, I just kind of take you through my system. If you haven't done it before, or if you've been doing it a long time, maybe you'll pick up something that you didn't know about. But anyway, we'll start with kind of what I like to use. 2-ounce spoons, kind of my go-to. I like the P-Line Laser Minnow. This green tiger here has put more salmon in my boat than all the other spoons combined. It's just super consistent. And the other tigers like pink tiger, green or blue tiger, they have their days too. These spoons glow, which all the other spoons that I use don't. And I think sometimes that makes a big difference, especially when it's, kind of dark down there, 30, 40 feet of water. This is a new UV one for this year. Haven't tried it yet. I got high hopes for it. I always keep the flashy spoons honest, especially kind of on those big bright days like a sardine or rainbow trout. Those are real good ones to use. And I stick with the 2-ounce most of the time. I've got 3-ouncers, I've got lighter ones, but 2-ounce just kind of holds in that current really well. It's a size that for whatever reason triggers the salmon, and I like it a lot. So I usually roll with that one. And then kind of how I attach the spoon to my line, I've got a couple things going on here. So I'm going to use a fluorocarbon leader. I like this salmon and steelhead leader by P-Line. One thing that's different about this compared to just if you got some 20-pound fluoro laying around is this actual leader material is stiffer than just regular fluorocarbon. And what you'll notice, like kind of when you're jigging a lot, is sometimes the spoon on its flutter down will get hooked up with the hook like that. And I think the stiffer line kind of causes that to happen less, and therefore I'm going to spend more time jigging and hopefully catching more salmon. The other thing I like to do when I attach my spoon to that fluorocarbon is I use a snap. I don't know how well you can see that, but not all snaps are created equal. If you use like a dual lock snap that's got the little piece of metal that protrudes out and kind of down, your line will catch on that quite a bit and potentially cause a stress point to break a fish off or just mess up the action of your spoon. So I like to use a snap that is smooth all the way around. These are some BKK snaps. They're stainless steel. They're really nice, and like I said, it doesn't catch on it, so you never have that issue of the line catching on that. From here, I'm just going to terminate that in a swivel, tie it to some 20 to 30 pound braid. Just kind of depends on what setup I'm using, whether I have 20 or 30 pound test. I think either are fine. I don't think there's really a reason to go less than 20 pound with your braid when it goes to salmon fishing, and then as far as your leader, I wouldn't go less than 15. There's so many boats around a lot of times, like you got to be able to like kind of control your fish, and you'll lose less tackle if you have some heavy gear on there. But one thing that's kind of nice about using the braided lines is you can use a little lighter action rod than say if you were using straight fluorocarbon. And one thing that I've learned over the years is I used to always jig with like really stiff rods, like my flipping sticks from bass fishing, stuff like that. And I would have a lot of problems tangling up my spoon on the line like that. And I still have this problem. It doesn't go away. If you're around fish and you're jigging hard, like it's going to happen. But going to like some medium heavy action rods, it's made a big difference for me in just how often I'm getting hung up like that. And I alternate between a baitcaster and a spinning rod, just because if you're jigging hard like the fish like it, you're gonna get tired with one or the other, and you're gonna need to switch it out. So I've got like a saltwater TFO spinning rod here with this big long handle. I don't get much fatigue with that because I can balance it on my forearm there. And then I've got a TFO option bass medium heavy bait caster that I like a lot too. Got a lot of lake trout jigging in with that up on Grand Traverse Bay this year, and this is gonna be a fantastic salmon setup. And they both have enough backbone. You still got to have backbone to really hammer it through these fish. Their mouths are getting really hard as they're getting in these drawn river mouth lakes. So you got to be able to hammer them. You got to have a high quality hook too. I'm using these BKK fangs. It's a 2X strong hook. It's got a slick coating on it, and they're just kind of the right wire diameter to really like penetrate those fish's mouths and also not bend out. If those aren't thick enough for you, they also make a 63 version of the fangs that are 3X strong. So I mean, that's kind of my setup. Like I said, for me, the having a little bit less heavy of action rod has been a big deal for me, and I still land a ton of salmon. And I think it's fun to do it on a spinning rod or a bait casting rod. Just make sure you got enough line on both of them, and you're ready to go. But once you do get down there and do get a bite, one of the biggest tips I like to give anybody who's new on my boat is, you get a bite, that fish is going to start coming up towards the surface. And they don't really do much at first. You set the hook, that fish is kind of like, all right, what's going on? And they'll come up, and if you're kind of new at it, you think that fish came off right away. You got to get on them, you got to reel, you got to be ready to just hammer them, have your drag set pretty tight off the get-go, and it's going to be about 10 to 20 seconds. They're going to figure out what's going on, and then they're in charge. But that first little bit, you got to be ready to get on them. You got to be in charge. Sometimes you can actually land them if you really want to in that first 10 or 20 seconds, but then you got a really angry salmon in the boat, and that's not worth it. Last thing I kind of like to say about our jigging is when the Lake Express goes through Muskegon, or the Badger in Ludington, or the Aquastar Princess in Muskegon, or just any barge traffic or whatever, move your boat out of the channel. It's not that hard to do. They don't take that long to go through. A lot of times it turns the fish on too. Just get out of their way. If you got an anchor down, which is pretty uncommon nowadays with spot lock, and all of a sudden you notice the entire pack is cleared out of the way, look behind you and probably notice there's a big boat coming, and get out of the way. So I know there was some drama in Ludington, and as someone who loves salmon jigging, I just don't want to see us get any restrictions on our salmon jigging because we're too proud to move for a couple minutes while a big boat goes through. They can't maneuver, and they have the right of way. So that's all I got to say about that. I'll see you guys out there. I'll jig Muskegon mostly. Maybe I'll go somewhere else this year. We'll see. But I can't wait. It's going to be fun.